Hi everyone, my name is Scissor Sheep and I am someone who has been an avid collector of Tamagotchis for a very long time. Today I wanted to show off a collection video. I don't have too many Tamagotchis compared to some of the other collectors on here, but nevertheless I still did want to go ahead and show them off and just show you guys the different shell colors and things like that. I did want to go ahead and start off by showcasing the Tamagotchi connections that I have. These are going to be the ones that I had been first playing when I was very young. I actually have all of the ones that I played when I was young. So that's definitely something that I think was a plus. So I have two Tamagotchi connections, the 4.5 shells. Now this is the first shell that I have. This one is super pretty. I remember trying to go back to, it must have been Walmart, to try and find different shells for the connection 4.5, and then as you'll see later, one of the things that I did end up getting was a connection 5, and that wasn't ever something that I knew was released, so I was super excited and I played with these a lot. All of the buttons do work. None of them have any type of battery corrosion. I actually just opened all of these up and took out all of the old batteries, so I've yet had to have the opportunity to try them, but nevertheless, I do still have them here, and to my knowledge, I believe that they all should function normally. Now, this was actually the second 4.5 that I got. Or no, sorry, this was the first 4.5 that I got. I loved the shell, but I wanted something different. I remember my friends had a whole bunch of these Tamagotchis, and I always thought that their shells were much nicer and prettier. So I definitely bought another one. So at the time, my parents had not enough to be spending on a whole bunch of Tamagotchis. So when I did get new ones, it was very special for me. So this one was my favorite shell design when I was growing up. This one was the one that was my pride and joy. I loved this Tamagotchi to death. It's also one that has the most use out of all of them. I'm not sure if you guys can see very well, but there's some scuffs right here and up at the top as well. I do also have this cute little Tamagotchi little doohickey, what would you call it, like a just a little keychain thing. I think that these were actually for your shoelaces. I don't know if you guys remember, but they used to sell these little charms that you could put on your shoelaces, so I'm not sure if that's what that was, or if I'm just imagining things and that's how I use those charms. But anyway, so this is my first Tamagotchi connection version 4.5, and this was probably my favorite shell design. And like I mentioned before, I haven't had the opportunity to actually get the batteries for all of these and test them out and make sure that they're actually functioning, but nevertheless, I do still have them, and I'm super excited. So to show you guys the old shells, and I do also have English Tamagotchis color as well that I wanted to showcase. So the next one that I got was this Tamagotchi Connection version 5. Now this one, unfortunately, when I was younger, I didn't quite know that this would be a keepsake for me. As you can see, they're really well taken care of. This one isn't really scratched, like hardly at all, but the problem, as you can see, is that there's this silver Sharpie that at the time I decided would be a good idea to color this Tamagotchi in. So as you can see on the sides, and if you're familiar with this shell design, it's actually supposed to be pink, but Oh, sorry about that. That's actually my On that I'm running, I think, right now. Yeah, so my Tamagotchi On just went off, so I will take care of him in just a moment and I will show you guys that as well. So this was the shell that I really liked. It was a really neat green color. Also, I'm so sorry you guys, I'm using natural light, so if the light does kind of shift during this video, I'm not trying to have it shift. It's just kind of cloudy and windy outside, so I apologize deeply for that. Hopefully it will not get so dark like that for the rest of the video. But anyway, so this was the shell that I unfortunately took a Sharpie to and just absolutely went to town. At this point, I'm a little bit afraid of cleaning it because I don't want it to rub off, or I don't know what type of effects it would have on the shell itself. So I've more resigned myself to just kind of keep it this way and remember that I did not quite take as good care of my Tamagotchi connections as I probably should have. But then again, I was also a child, so it's not like I knew that I would want to collect these in the future. So that's my first version 5. And then my last of the older versions of Tamagotchis is going to be my Tamagotchi Connection version 5 as well. Now this one I think is so pretty. I love the shell, and when I was younger I was super into space and science things and stuff like that, so this is probably one of my favorite shells. Unfortunately it is scratched up here at the top, but other than that it's really not in too bad of shape. This connection is probably going to be, except of course for the I would say nostalgia value that this one offers for me. I would say that this one is probably my favorite. But of course my version 4.5 is always going to hold a special place in my heart, but that's because that was the one that I used in my childhood all the way back in, I think it was primarily 5th grade, that I was absolutely loving Tamagotchi and just like super into it. So anyway, that is that. I also did get this lanyard, this Tamagotchi lanyard, and I, for the life of me, don't remember how I got this or if it was just an accessory that came with one of them. Unfortunately, I just don't remember. But this is definitely, I think, a little bit of a nostalgia factor for me as well, because this was the lanyard that I would carry all of my connections on, and do still keep them on today. It's pretty well kept. The only thing that's wrong with it is that there's a couple of, I would say, like just stains from years of use and kind of things like that. So unfortunately there's a couple of spots on here, but other than that it's in really great condition, and it's meant to carry these types of Tamagotchis because they do have the key rings. So there's that. Now in regards to my color Tamagotchis, those are going to be the last of the vintage ones that I do have, and it's crazy to me to even think that these Tamagotchis that I played with when I was younger considered, I guess, vintage, but definitely not as vintage as the Connection V1s and kind of things like that, or maybe even the Angel Gotchi, which I'm hoping to save up for and purchase at some point. So right now I'm just getting out my Tamagotchi IDL. So I have an IDL E, and this was the first time since I would say I was super young, probably in 5th grade, that I had heard of Tamagotchis again. I was online and I had seen, I think, a video by Atlantic Raven or something along those lines. I just don't remember whose YouTube video it was exactly, but I watched one of their videos and I was astounded to find out that there was an English Tamagotchi that was released. Now, of course, this was released by Bandai Hong Kong, so it wasn't an official English Tamagotchi released by Bandai America, but of course I'm sure you guys probably know that. So this is my IDLE. I paid probably, I think, $93.99 for this one, and I love it. I take really good care of my color Tamas, so this is not discolored at all whatsoever. It's always stored in the package, and right now I of course will not store them with batteries in them just to preserve their longevity. But yeah, there's this one. I don't even think it really has scratches or anything like that, so I've kept this one primarily in the box whenever I'm not using it, and that is the way that I keep my Tamas. So this was the first English Tamagotchi, and then I had heard that there was an English Tamagotchi, and I was just so ecstatic and so happy. I could not believe that they had even gone through and released an English version, and that it was in color. I just remember being so mystified and absolutely in love. So there is that one. Now of course I do still have the packaging for this one, so I think this cute little lovely Chi is absolutely adorable. Sorry about that bad focus there, but she's super cute. I still have the full box and things like that right here. So there's the Tamagotchi IDL. I try to take really good care of my Tamagotchis that are in their packages. I always find that it's something that these are definitely more of a collector's kind of item, and it's important to take care of your Tamagotchis, you know, that you plan to preserve or collect. And so I loved the IDL. I thought that it was really great. My only thing was that after a while, I did get kind of burnt out. And the reason for that was just because I felt like there wasn't a whole lot for me to do. Now, as a consumer for Tamagotchis in the US, I never had access to like an ID station, or even really knew that the ID station had really existed, just because I was so fresh into the world of Tamagotchi again. So I had no idea that any of this extra content existed until I started watching YouTube videos with Raw Tamazone, Atlantic Raven, in regards to different items and things like that. So that was the Tamagotchi IDL, and of course I have the purple shell, and I just think that this one is really great. But it did very quickly wear me out because I felt like there wasn't a whole lot to do, and it was just, I feel like the character pool wasn't quite extensive enough to keep my interest long term. And getting the gotchi points using the little running jump game, after a while just got very taxing, and so I love it. And this was my first English Tamagotchi, and of course I adore it so much, but it's definitely not my favorite, I would say. So the next one that I did want to go ahead and go over is going to be my Tamagotchi On. Now, a lot of people currently have these right now. This is probably my favorite English Tamagotchi. I have not had the opportunity to actually run a P's just yet, which we'll get to because I actually have one. So this is the pink berry On, which was of course released by Bandai America. Everyone was shocked and shook and I had been a part of the Tamagotchi community, kind of passively, not really super into speaking with other collectors on the Facebook groups or anything like that. So I was a little bit out of the loop, and after my Tamagotchi IDL, I did kind of fly under the radar. I had been keeping an eye on the Tamagotchi Pierce because I had at the time wanted to get one of the Tamagotchi Pierces so bad, and I remember probably in 2012 maybe briefly seeing images of the Tamagotchi Ps, and so I was definitely aware that there were colored Tamagotchis. I just wasn't aware that there was an English one, and so that's how it came about that I got the IDL, because for me personally, I prefer the English releases. The English releases for me are easier to understand, and it's a lot easier for me to go ahead and, excuse me really quick. Okay, sorry about that. It's a lot easier to keep my interest when it comes to the Tamagotchis and running them when I have the ability to understand them, especially when they're going to the park and kind of introducing themselves to the other characters, and just even knowing what the food items are called and things like that was a big turnoff for me to actually take the plunge and get a Japanese Tamagotchi colored version. Now, this is the cute little charm that I have on my Tamagotchi On right now. This was actually a little bit of a funny story because I was part of, before the Tamagotchi On had released, there was pre-orders, and I went ahead and was searching for the green Tamagotchi On. When these were first released and when the pre-orders were being taken, this one was super elusive with shipping out. This one, for whatever reason, was just in very short supply, and it was lagging behind all of the other Tamagotchis. So this one was a little bit more elusive, and I found this from a seller thanks to the Tamagotchi group. Someone had posted a post that someone in Mercari, which is an app I use for Tamagotchi finds and things like that, that there was a green On that was being sold on there. So I purchased it. I don't believe that it was much more than the actual $59.99 cost that these are. If anything, I think it was a little bit above just because of the shipping cost. But this was the first one that I had actually ordered, and I hadn't actually placed a pre-order for any of these because I wanted to go physically out and get them because I was extremely impatient and I really wanted to play with these as soon as I possibly could. So that was the first one that I had placed the order for. But because of my impatience and because the shipping was something that was going to take a while, I went ahead and I went to a town that's near mine, and I picked up the Tamagotchi Fairy On. They were in stock in a town very close nearby, and so I drove out there with my grandmother and we picked this up. So this is my Tamagotchi On. She was connected to the app, so these are my twins right now. So as you can see right here, they're super adorable. I love the Tamagotchi On. I love the mixing aspect. I never get bored of playing it. I'm always super excited to play with them. I think that the mixing aspect is absolutely amazing. And just to show you a little bit about I clicked the wrong thing. Just a little tiny little bit about the Tamagotchi On, I do want to go ahead and show you the parents and the generations for this version, and I will also show you my other On. So this is my second set of twins, I believe, on this Tamagotchi. But one of the big appeals for these was the fact that, one, they're in English, which is why I never purchased a meats or a mix, because I knew that that was something that the barrier of having a Japanese Tamagotchi for me was just a little bit too much. I wanted to understand, to truly understand and enjoy them. And I felt like being able to see the Tamagotchis in my own language was definitely a plus. So anyway, this is my current generation right now. Sorry, I've had to go back because I'm just rambling on. I'm currently on my 16th generation. So that was their parents that I had. I've definitely been trying to stick with this little hat gene because I love the little, I guess you would call it, hair curl. I am so sorry. I keep having to go back here because I'm just rambling on about these generations, but I can't help it. I think that they are very cute. So she is probably my favorite that I've made so far. I did get a gene curse and I was stuck with the genes because I had married this Tamagotchi all the way back here. I married this one, and then for consequent generations after that, it took forever for me to breed out those genes. But the first time that I ever got married, this cute little Kuromi from the Sanrio mix had accepted my proposal. So I was super happy with that. I am so happy with these. I think that the features that they have are great. I love the mixing features that they have. And I think that this Tamagotchi is definitely a really good one for if people are wanting to get into the world of Tamagotchis. This is definitely a super great option. And then, of course, this one is from the pastel meats, or it has had pastel meats genes, so that's why she's colored like that. But yeah, so this was my very first time that I really could say I super enjoyed being with a Tamagotchi. I loved running it. I've ran this one for forever due to the circumstance in the world right now, which I won't really go into. I'm currently running this one and my green Tamagotchi On. So just to briefly show you this, because it's pretty much the same thing. This is my green Tamagotchi On, the magical version. And this little dude is currently upset right now, so I will feed him here in just a second. But just to show you the family trees, this is my 6th generation on this one, because like I said, I did get it after the pink fairy. I've had 2 sets of twins, yeah, and then right before that. So for whatever reason, I got the parents' eyes, and I thought that that was so weird for that generation. But anyway, so I've tried to keep a spoopy or a spooky theme for this one, although my first 2 generations didn't really do that. But yeah, this is my current cute little beanie boy, and he has the Alice outfit and wings, so he's super cute and very upset with me right now. He's not very happy and he needs some food. So I'm just gonna go ahead and feed him really quickly while I have you guys on camera with me. And instead of playing a game, I'm gonna feed him some gelatin right now, just so that he'll stop beeping for the rest of the video. So bear with me just while I do that real quick. Most of the time I feel quite bad whenever I'm going through with the Tamagotchis and kind of, I guess, overstuffing them this way. But then they get a toothache, unfortunately, and I always feel kind of bad, but I need him to stop beeping for the video, so there we go. He's super cute. I love his eyes. I think all of his mixed up features are super, super sweet and cute. So unfortunately, he is not quite happy yet, and he will still beep. So give me one more second. one of the things that I do have to say, for whatever reason, this green Tamagotchi has more of a buttoned lay than my pink Tamagotchi fairy On does. So definitely a weird observation. The other beeping in the background is actually my P's right now that I'm currently running. So I will get to that one here in just a moment. But yes, these Tamagotchi Ons are definitely probably going to be the best for newcomers to Tamagotchi collecting, are going to quite probably enjoy the most. Now that he has been taken care of, I'm gonna send him to his parents really quickly. Just like I did with the pink On. That way we can minimize interruptions as much as possible for the rest of the video. Anyway, so this is my Tamagotchi On. And these cases, by the way, are also from Mercari. These are from the seller Dump of Bow. And I have the white one for this one. I don't know why I did that. And I also have the pink one, of course, for the pink Tamagotchi. But the mint colored Pusheen case is kind of hard to find. So anyway, there's that one. So the next Tamagotchi that I purchased, which kind of contradicts some of what I was saying in the entire video. I currently don't have batteries in this Tamagotchi, so I'm not going to be turning it on. But this is the Fantasy Tamagotchi Meets. Now, I think that this Tamagotchi is gorgeous. There is something that's just so pretty about it, and I can't capture just how vibrant and gorgeous it is in this video, but I'm sure that you guys have probably seen pictures of it and things like that. But I caved and I got this one because I think it is just so gorgeous. This is probably my favorite shell design. This Tamagotchi was something that I had purchased from from Amazon Japan. And this, of course, came from Bandai Japan. So I haven't run this one as much as the others. And I feel like the reason for that is honestly the language barrier. There were so many different cute features, and this Tamagotchi has the coolest games and the coolest adult transformations, but I unfortunately just have somewhat of a disconnect to it. I really prefer running English Tamagotchis colors, so unfortunately this one hasn't been run as much. I think I probably have 3 generations on it. That being said, I was extremely happy with my purchase. I would buy another Meets. I know that sometime in, I think they said July, June, and I'm so sorry, I could be misremembering, but Tamagotchi US, so Bandai US, on the Tamagotchi page on Facebook, has announced that there's going to be some type of announcement, most likely for an alternate version of the Fantasy Meets. That's going to be announced very soon. So we are all very excited for this on the Tamagotchi groups on Facebook, and that's primarily where I will communicate with other collectors, is on there. So if you guys ever want to chit chat with any of us, or just ask any questions about your Tamagotchis, right now we're also quite into Animal Crossing, so definitely check the group Tamagotchi Collectors out on Facebook if you're interested in kind of keeping up with the different news in regards to Tamagotchi releases and things like that. So the last Tamagotchi that I did want to go ahead and discuss is going to be one of the ones that is the most elusive, that I mentioned was released in 2012. I remember very briefly the reason why I had been interested in the Tamagotchi IDL, or the reason that I had kind of circumstantially come across it, was because I had always kept interest in the Tamagotchi I guess, releases, you could say, or kind of activity in regards to Tamagotchis. Like, I always really wanted a colored Tamagotchi, and once I found out that they had been released, I thought that that was just one of the most amazing things ever. So I did at one point know about the Tamagotchi Ps, and they were released back in 2012. I remember looking up a video by Tamazone and wanting to get one of these really, really bad. This was about 2 years before I graduated high school back in 2012, and my family wasn't about ready to drop the money that it was going to take for the Tamagotchi Ps, especially because it was something that was in Japanese, and at the time that didn't really bother me so much, but now that I'm an adult, I feel like knowing exactly what the Tamagotchis are saying is a little bit important to me. So it may not have been so much of a factor back then, but it definitely was something that did impact me a little bit later with purchasing the Tamagotchi Ps. So I dropped off the Tamagotchi community after I had briefly seen the video from Tamazone about the Tamagotchi Ps. And after that, of course, I got the IDL, so I never took the plunge to get a Tamagotchi Ps. Now, recently, these Tamagotchi Ps are a collector's item, a huge collector's item, and I'm sure that you guys are aware of this. So, of course, after there was an English patch for this one, I fell in love with the shell design. This is the pink Tamagotchi Ps. As you can see, it is in perfect condition. I am so pleased with this purchase and with the seller. There's no discoloration on the sides. All of these gems are super secure. The buttons are extremely responsive, and she was very sweet and included the circus pierce, which I could not have asked for any better of a purchase. I'm so blessed and lucky to have this. I'm super, super happy with this purchase. So this came from the Netherlands. I paid about 75 US for this. I think it was a little bit more with like tax, or I don't remember, but this was from the Tamagotchi Traders group, and so I got a really good deal on these. These are going for new in box on eBay from scalpers for about $430, and I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do not have the money to be spending that type of money on a Tamagotchi Ps. So for me, this was always a want, but never anything that I ever thought was going to really truly happen. So the fact that I have this Tamagotchi Ps with me after so long and it's in such great condition, I could not be happier. I literally could not be happier with it. This Ps will definitely be treasured by me for forever. It is the very first Ps that I've had or held or seen, and it came with a pierce. So I did order a holographic zipper pouch, which I'm sure you guys have heard about. If not, I will see if I can insert a picture of that at some point. But this was something that I just thought was super pretty, and I purchased it. So it's holographic, and this is where my P is going to go in. So for right now, I'm probably going to take one of the other Tamas out, or possibly store it in this little container that I have right here. So this is actually a pill box, but if you're ever wondering or need ideas for a storage case for your Tamagotchis, some of these people have super inventive ideas, and so this was a pill box, and this was an idea from the Tamagotchi Collectors group, and so it definitely works, and it protects my Tamas enough. I also have this, oops, sorry, I'm moving the camera while I'm trying to dig through my drawer. I also do have this super bright reversible sequin pouch that I can carry 2 of the Tamas in. So that one's also something that I use to carry my Tamagotchis with. Also, I am so sorry, I'm moving the camera again. There is a drawer underneath my camera, and so every time I'm opening it, that's why it's moving. The Tama. But anyway, so this is the Tamagotchi piece. It is extremely elusive. She is very upset with me. This has been the one that's been beeping along with the Tamagotchi On the entire time in the background. So bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to take care of her. One of the things that I've heard so much good things about is that the Pierces provide so much extra content for the Tamagotchi Ps. Now, I have to say, one of the things that I'm a little bit nervous about with this particular version is that it is definitely a huge improvement from the IDL, since this was the one that was released right after. However, I eventually got extremely bored with the IDLE, and I'm really hoping that that doesn't happen with this Tamagotchi P. So anyway, this is the version that was super coveted by everyone in the community, really, and everyone really wants a Tamagotchi Ps. So I haven't had the opportunity to run it. As you can see right here, this is my first generation. Just some information about me. So yeah, this one I'm super excited to play with. I think it's definitely gonna be great. There's just so much stuff. Whoa, I didn't know as a baby you could actually go out and play games. That seems weird to me. Wow, so we're a toddler and it lets you go to the park and play games. That's cool. Sorry for my silence there, I was just mystified. Normally that isn't the case. But anyway, so this is my Tamagotchi piece. I am probably going to make follow-up videos for my Tamagotchi Ps, just to give you guys a little bit of a, oh my gosh, I caught this on camera. That's amazing. So my Tama just grew up right now while I had this on camera. Wow, she is super pretty. I'm going to have to look up the character chart and everything like that here. So, actually, while I have you guys, let me see if we can do the Pierce. Sorry guys, the Pierce is really hard to take out, so let me just see if this will cooperate, and I will see if I can download the content from this Pierce. Okay, let me see if that worked. If not, I'll have to mess with it, but I'm sure that it's fine. There we go. Oh, this is so cute. This is the first time that I've ever seen any of this. That's just so amazing. I'm gonna have to read up a little bit more about this. But yeah, the Pierce was fine. It just had to be replugged in, so no big deal. The Pierces are notorious for sometimes acting up, so anyway, definitely something that's really great, and I'm super excited about having this Pierce. So yeah, I'm so sorry for this very lengthy video. I do plan on making more Tamagotchi videos, so if that's something that you feel like you'd like, feel free to subscribe, like the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!